Welcome back to some new r/malicious compliance stories, where people comply to the letter, but not the spirit of our request. I hope you had a great day. Thanks for all the likes and comments on the last video. And now let's start with the first story. It's called The Blue Pen. I work part-time as an office assistant at a mid-sized company. A few months ago, my manager, let's call him Dan, decided he was going to micromanage me into the ground, clocking me if I came back from lunch 2 minutes late, criticizing my font choice in emails, and worst of all, calling me out in front of everyone for not following the company handbook to the letter. The breaking point? He publicly scolded me for using a blue pen instead of black. Yes, a pen. So I thought, fine. You want the handbook followed? You got it. The very next morning I started Operation Handbook. The handbook says start time is 9. I walked in at 8:59, not a second earlier. The handbook says to use formal titles in emails. Suddenly even my closest co-workers were getting, "Dear Mr. Johnson." The handbook says all documents must be signed and dated. So I signed and dated every single sticky note. The handbook says meetings must be scheduled 24 hours in advance with an agenda attached. Every one of Dan's little quick chats were declined. No agenda, no meeting. The handbook says lunch is 60 minutes. Not 59, not 58. So at 12 sharp I left my desk. At 1 sharp I came back. The handbook says HR must be copied on all disputes. So when Dan asked me to reprint a file, HR got a copy of that too. By day 3, the office was basically running in slow motion. Projects stalled, emails piled up. HR had already pulled Dan into 2 urgent meetings thanks to my dutiful compliance. Friday afternoon, Dan finally cracked. He called me into his office, looking exhausted. "Look, can you just do your job without making everything so rigid? I'm just following the company handbook, like you asked." He just stared at me for a good 10 seconds before finally muttering, "Alright, maybe we can be a little flexible moving forward." And just like that, micromanagement gone. These days Dan barely looks at me. My work life is blissfully quiet. All it took was a blue pen. The next story is called Proper Orders. I used to work distribution for a building supplies company. The stores would fax in their orders for things they needed. One common item was cash register rolls. They came in boxes of 50, and usually a store would order 2 boxes. But the office staff would key it in as 2 rolls, not 2 boxes. Which meant we'd ship 100 rolls but only bill for 2. At a team meeting I brought it up. "Hey, we are constantly short by 49 or 98 rolls. This is why." The manager said, "Good catch, it won't happen again." The very next day it happened again. So I thought, fine, let's do this by the book. The order said 2 rolls. I opened a box, pulled out exactly 2 rolls, taped up the box and shipped it. I expected complaints from the stores immediately, but no, not a word. This went on for weeks. Then came the busiest sales weekend of the year. I pulled my manager aside and said, "You might want to check cash register roll levels at the stores." Sure enough, panic. Stores were almost out, and suddenly emergency courier shipments of register rolls were flying out the door. They couldn't fire me. I had shipped exactly what was ordered. But I had nearly brought the whole company to its knees on their biggest weekend of the year. After that, they started keying the orders properly. Well, most of the time. The last story is called Certified Mail. When I first moved into my lovely cookie-cutter neighborhood in Florida, everything seemed fine. The homes had gone up in a rush, 100 of them in just weeks, and the place went from ghost town to fully packed almost overnight. Now, Florida HOAs have a rule. Violation notices must be sent via certified mail. My HOA took it even further. They decided all communication with the board had to be certified mail. Got a violation? Certified mail. Requesting a hearing? Certified mail. Want a copy of the bylaws? Yep, certified mail. Here's the kicker. When we moved in, they gave us the rules about what we could or couldn't do, but not the bylaws. The document that told us how to fight back. So unless you already knew the bylaws existed, you wouldn't know how to request them by certified mail. Fast forward 3 months and I come home to find a giant packet taped to my door. A notice of intent to lien. The list of supposed violations was ridiculous. Garbage cans not out of sight. They were on the side of the house, like everyone else's. Standing water between houses. A grading issue the developer caused. A car parked slightly over the sidewalk line. Bushes not trimmed appropriately. An unapproved modification to my doorway. A ring bell door camera. Altogether, with late fees and legal fees, they claimed I owed just over $4,000. I emailed asking for details. Nothing. I emailed again. Still nothing. Finally, after threatening legal action, I got a response. All communications regarding violations must be done via methods approved in the bylaws. So I asked for the bylaws. All requests for the bylaws must also be done via the methods outlined in the bylaws. At this point I was ready to lose it. But then I remembered, the developer who built the neighborhood still had copies. I emailed and within minutes I had the bylaws in my hands. And that's when I spotted the golden ticket. Every single violation, late fee and notice had to be sent by certified mail. Each one separately. I had 8 unique violations, plus repeats, over 9 weeks. At minimum, they should have sent me about 22 certified letters. Cost per letter? About $7. Guess how many they'd actually sent? 0. So I drafted a 1-page notice for my neighbors, explaining the certified mail requirement and encouraging everyone to request the bylaws the same way. I printed 150 copies, roped in some neighbors, and received one on every door in the neighborhood. Then I fought every single violation separately. I wrote 23 certified letters, 1 for each violation, plus 1 to contest the lien. Each letter requested proof of delivery for the original notices, also required by the bylaws. Total cost to me? About $160 in certified postage. Florida law says HOAs have 10 business days to respond to records requests. They had 2 weeks. Instead, I got a strongly worded email telling me the violations were valid and I had 25 more days to comply. My reply was short and sweet. All communications regarding violations must be done in approved methods as per the bylaws. They now had days to respond, in writing, to 23 separate certified letters. They didn't. So I sent 23 more certified follow-ups threatening legal action. Word got around. Within weeks, almost 100 homeowners had requested bylaws by certified mail. The board, already juggling dozens of liens, was suddenly drowning in hundreds of certified letters. Their legal fees and postage costs exploded. Turns out they'd never sent a single certified notice. They were just taping packets to doors and hoping people would pay up, because they were trying to raise money, to buy an empty lot at the front of the neighborhood to block a commercial development, conveniently located in front of the board members' homes. The whole scheme collapsed. The board members were replaced. The lien on my house vanished. And suddenly the developer was bending over backwards to fix the grading issues I'd been complaining about for months. French drains, resodding, regrading, all done in a flash. In the end I sent 46 certified letters, spent about $350 and 2 days of PTO, and completely tanked their little extortion racket. Best money I ever spent. Thanks for watching the video to the end. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please don't forget to leave a like, comment and subscribe. And if you have time, watch another one of my videos. Also, if you want to support me further, check out the channel membership or Patreon. And now, I hope you have a great day. See you soon. Bye bye.